Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Edpuzzle Live. We are very excited. We are looking forward learning about this topic that is really interesting. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Alberto and Mario. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Jesús. How are you? Super happy to be here with you today. Thank you for
Hello,
inviting.
Jesús, and hello to everyone who is joining us. We are so looking forward to sharing about AI today.
Yes. Thank you so much again for being with us today with Edpuzzle. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Jesús Sanchez. I'm part of the community team in Edpuzzles since 5 months ago. Before I was also an elementary or primary teacher, as Alberto and Mario also were in the past. And now we are about to start this Edpuzzle Live. We're gonna wait for a few minutes until everybody. I encourage you to start introducing yourself on the chat. Please feel free to say where are you connected from and what is your role. If you are a teacher, please let us know what grades do you teach and what subject you teach. So please, we're gonna be reading you on the chat, and then in a couple of minutes, I'm gonna introduce Alberto and Mario the best as I can. Okay, so we have people from Oman, from Egypt, from Oman again, also English teacher from Spain. Thank you, everybody one more time, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We are very excited. We are looking forward to learning about this topic, that is trending topic, and it's very important. Mario and Alberto are gonna be explaining to us and talking about artificial intelligence, social emotional learning, but also taking into account the ethics. We have people also from Egypt, English teachers from Greece, Oman, Italy. Welcome, everybody, one more time. I think we have people from everywhere. Lebanon, South Africa, Albania. One more time, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. In a couple of minutes, I'm gonna introduce Mario and Alberto, the E-twins, the famous E-twins. My name is Jesús Sanchez, in case you have joined a little bit late. I'm part of the Edpuzzle community team. All right, so let's wait just one more minute, and then I'm gonna introduce Mario and Alberto from Qatar. We have a lot of people from Middle East. This is very exciting. From Portugal, hola. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna try to introduce Mario and Alberto the best way I can. I got to meet them in the US for the first time a few years ago, but Mario and Alberto are both from Spain, as me. I'm also from Spain. They studied an educational bachelor degree here in Spain at the University of Valladolid. If I'm not wrong, correct me if I make any mistakes on the way, please. Also, when they finished the teaching degree, bachelor degree, they decided to go to the United States, in particular to Utah, and then they started their teaching career there in Utah, and then I guess you guys, sorry, 1 second. I guess you guys started teaching in a little bit in a different way. I think you never were like, you never were those kind of teacher who use the traditional way, the traditional teaching, and you started to innovate, started to play with the teaching styles, try to use and integrate some edtech tools. And since then, I believe you guys also started presenting in different conferences, sharing your knowledge and your experience with other teachers around the United States and also on social media. And then you guys became more and more popular, and now the E-twins are very popular in the edtech world. And you guys spent around 9 years in the US, 7 to 9 years. I don't remember if it was 7 or 9 years. And then I guess you guys finally decided to make a change, and you guys come back to Spain and set up or started your own company, which is called E-twins. So please, Mario and Alberto, welcome one more time. Introduce yourself if I miss something important?
Hi, everyone. No, you didn't miss anything important. Jesus, you did a great job. Thank you for introducing us. Right now, we are, as Jesus said, based in Spain, in the north, middle north of Spain, in a city called Salamanca. That's where we are from, our hometown. We are back, and super happy to be here in Spain, and also here in this webinar to talk about a very, very important topic, which is AI and how we use AI in education and what's going to change and all of that. So we are going to share a little bit of our perspective of how we think AI can be applied to the education world, and also how we can link that to SEL, social and emotional learning.
Yeah, so we are super excited. We've been doing work around social and emotional learning for many years. Jesus knows this, that we've been working on that field for many, many years. Because once we started to use and integrate different technologies, different tech tools in our classrooms, we realized that we needed also to add this social and emotional learning piece to the equation, because it's not just about the tools or how we use it, it's also about how we can enhance the human part of us using these tech tools. I'm seeing, Mario, in the chat, a lot of people from all over the world, great countries. So hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. And saying this, Mario, do you want to kick off this?
Yep. So when we talk about artificial intelligence and about how it's going to change education, there are many conversations that we need to have around this topic. We can talk about technology integration. We can talk about AI literacy, how important it is for students to know what's going on behind that bot, how important it is for students to know how to prompt correctly, because the better the prompt is, the better the product you get is. But we would like to start this conversation with ethics, because it is super important. One of our, I'm going to skip all of this, our presentation. One of our favorite authors that talks about technology change is Neil Postman. So Neil Postman talks about technology change in general. And he has an article that we really love, and we highly recommend you to read if you are into innovation and you are into technology change and technology integration. And he talks about the 5 things that we need to know about technological change in general. It's not just in education, it's in general. And in these 5 things, I mean, we could go, forever just talking about Neil Postman and like his view on technological change. But for this webinar specifically, we are going to focus on the number 1, which is that all technological change is a trade-off. And number 2, there's always winners and losers in technology change. This means that the first one, there's always a trade-off, meaning that whatever you are doing right now, after a technological change, you're going to lose something from what you are doing right now. In this case, we can talk about, we will talk later about social interactions, about self-awareness, about like many things that we can relate to social and emotional learning. And the second one is like there's always winners and losers in a technological change. In a technology change, it means that normally the digital gap will grow and will become bigger than ever.
For those that don't know about the digital gap, it's an idea, a concept that we truly think that is very, very important to know about it and to find ways to make that smaller. The digital gap is the gap that there is between those people that have access to technology and those people that don't have access to technology, or specifically to that kind of technology. In this case, if we focus on AI, and we talk about digital gap, is the gap that there is between the people that has access to AI, which is access to internet, access to computers or other devices, versus the people that don't have access to this technology or all the the ways that we have to access the technology, in this case, devices and internet. If we look at this map we got this map from a research that wanted to show the difference about internet access between the countries that have the richer countries and the poorest countries. Okay, so if we take a look at this map, we have Europe, we have Middle East, we have North America. All those dots that we can find is people or houses or institutions that have access to internet. But if we take a look at other parts of the world, Africa, more South America, even Russia, we see that there are many, many houses, schools, institutions that don't even have access to internet. And here we are talking about the basics, which is internet and devices.
And that takes
I don't want to, and yeah, if we take that to an upper level and we talk about artificial intelligence, it's even bigger, because this is just internet and devices. Artificial intelligence is a more complex technology, so we're gonna get more and more people that don't have access to this kind of technology.
And that takes us to our next problem, which is like, because I'm sure you are thinking, okay, Mario, Alberto, why are you showing us this map? Just think about AI and how artificial intelligence is trained. We train AI, in this case, generative AI, with information that we get from the internet. What's one of the problems, or one of the main ethics problems in the use of AI? It's the bias, meaning that most of the information that generative AI is getting or is being trained with, that information is from the same countries. So it's like we really need to be careful, because like probably this information that we are getting, it's based on only one context, only one point of view, or like mainly the point of view of what Alberto said, the richer countries, right? So let's say that there's like I don't know, like a tribe in the middle of South America, and that tribe has a very specific context, very specific culture and idea, right? Like the AI or the generative AI that we can use in our classroom, they are never going to get their point of view. Why? Because they don't have access to internet, or like a very little access to internet, and they cannot pour the information into the internet.
Or
right?
they cannot produce that
to...
data. They cannot produce that data that we are training the AI with.
So this is one of the problems, and one of the main ethics problem, which is that the data that we get from AI mostly is from the same countries and from the same context and perspective. And there are other problems and many, many other problems in the ethical use of AI. We can talk about copyright. We can talk about the data that, you know, like you are, whatever you're writing in those chatbots, where does that go, right? Like who controls that data? Where does it go? There are many, many ethical problems. So that's why we need to be very careful on how to use this technology in the classroom. And in this case, for us, like because we are based in Spain, we go back to this document. This is the ethical guidelines on the use of AI and data, very important, AI and data in teaching and learning for educators. And this is a document, is a guidelines that were created by the European Union, by the European Commission. So if you're in the European Union, like we suggest that you go back to this document and you take a look of do's and don'ts on the use of AI in the classroom, because these two topics that we mentioned before is just like two things inside of that huge ethics umbrella that that there are many, many more that you need to be very careful with. I can see on the chat that they say, where can we find that document? If you Google that same title, you will find the document. Is yep, I'm gonna Alberto, what about if you keep going, talking about a little bit of the document? I'm gonna try to find the link, if that's okay.
Yes, sure. But I need you to keep the presentation going, please, Mario. Show your screen.
1 second. I'm at here.
I think what you guys were saying about the ethics, we train those chatbots with information, and it is like very interesting that you guys mentioned, okay, but that information is coming especially from a specific number of countries who have the most internet connection. So all of this information that the chatbot or artificial intelligence is playing with is coming from those specific countries. So as you said, if there is a country that doesn't have a lot of internet connection, that information is not going to be from their perspective. So I think that is a really interesting point to think about.
It's also like we always talk about artificial intelligence to be the reflection of humans, because the way that we train those generative artificial intelligence are with the data that humans produce. In this case, the data comes from our own perspective, the way we do things. So the AI is just a reflection of how we behave, how we think about a specific topic. But if we keep just training these models with just data from some specific countries, 20, 25 specific countries, the ideas that those countries and those people have are the ideas that are going to be everywhere through that AI. So we need to have that in mind when we talk about the use of AI, that sometimes what we get from the AI is not the full picture. It's just the specific data we get from specific countries, that people that have access to the internet. It's great to think about that social awareness when we work with AI, and think about the point that maybe it's not just this point of view, that there are many point of view that this bot doesn't give me, because it doesn't have access to those.
Thank you, Alberto, for the transition, because I think that was great transition, because you mentioned social awareness. And I was like, okay, that's my clue. That's a perfect buzzword to just make the transition to the Castle framework. We talked a little bit about AI. We talked about ethics. And now we want to give a little bit of context of what SEL, or social and emotional learning, is. Because a lot of people have this misconception that SEL is only about feelings, right? They think, okay, if I think about social and emotional learning, you think about feelings, how I feel, how I manage my feel, how I interact with other people. We talk about empathy, but SEL is way more than that. Here you have on a screen is the Castle framework. Is the most popular framework in the world about SEL. So if you are using an SEL program in your school, in your institution, I would say that 95% chances that that program is based on the Castle framework.
99. I would say 99%. Yeah.
99 probably. And the Castle framework has 5 areas: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. When we talk about feelings and how to manage those feelings, we are only talking about one area of SEL, which is self-awareness. Self-awareness, that about reflection about how you feel, about
and self-management to control those feelings.
Exactly. And self-management to control those feelings. But what about social awareness? What Alberto mentioned before, empathy, like trying to see the point of view of other people or of other countries, other communities. That's super important. What about relationship skills? Like how you interact with other people, how you work in a collaborative way, how you cooperate with them. Or the last one, responsible decision-making. That's super important. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit in relation with AI, how to make the best decision based on the information that you have.
Yeah, we don't have much time left, Mario, and we don't want to go over time. So just let's try to go a little bit quicker with that.
Yep.
So,
and this just to finish, artificial intelligence right now, there's not a clear way of how to connect AI with SEL on activities, right? It's very hard to create a unit or an activity that connects both. But there are many other ways to enhance, to develop these specifically these four areas that can help your students and can help you to do better with AI. For example, social awareness. Alberto talked about this. How you need to teach your students the social awareness, the empathy to use the AI in a correct way. To let them know that, AI is not only trained with data from everyone. It's just like for a very small percentage of the population in the world. Like how you can use AI to, for example, like connect with someone else. Now, self-management. We're talking about goals, about when you interact with AI, how you can manage yourself, in a way that whatever the AI is giving you is not the last thing that you copy and paste. Can you talk a little bit about this, Alberto? How like whatever AI creates should be the first step?
Yes, and that's very important when we talk about responsible decision making in AI. So whatever we get from the AI chatbot, it doesn't need to be, it shouldn't be the final result we use. We use with students, we use with parents, we use with admins. So when we get any product, it could be like pictures, videos, text, whatever, from that chatbot with the use of AI, we need to use that as starting point. We need to use that as starting point information. So we need to get that information we get and adapt that to the needs of my students, to the background of my students. So that's the responsible decision-making part. We need to be responsible and not just copy and paste and use what we get. It's just a starting point that we need to use to just go ahead and adapt that to the needs and the background of my students.
And then relationship skills is the same. That like, if you think about it, talking with the AI or generative AI is like having a conversation, right? So like it's like in a way that you have a conversation with that AI through prompting. So that, if you have good relationship skills, you're gonna know how to interact with that AI. But not only that, it's very important because, like some students can have this misconception that the way that we interact with people is the same way that you should interact with AI, with a chatbot. So that's very important to tell our students that should be different relationship skills, should be different conversations, different prompting, like just like a different way of interacting with, in this case, AI. It's not your friend. It's not your, someone that can replace the real relationships, so we need to be very careful with all of that. And I think we did it in 20 minutes, Jesus, pretty much.
You did it even faster, guys. So fast.
Perfect.
We still have time, but it's good because we have time to discuss and for the people also to ask questions. I have a couple of questions. First, I would like to say that you guys made a really good point, because when we talk about social emotional learning, it's true that most people tend to think just about how we feel and how we can control those feelings, but you also expanded that the concept is not just that.
Yeah, it's very, very important to think about when we think about social and emotional learning. It's not just feelings. It's all this castle framework that it is around. And when we talk about feelings and how to manage those feelings, we are talking about self-awareness and self-management. But there is way more around that conception of like social and emotional learning, like we were sharing. And many of those connect directly and apply directly to the use of AI in the classroom. How we should use AI in a responsible way, how we need to think about what's behind. All of that is directly connected with the ethics part and also with the social and emotional learning conception that we wanted to share here today.
And very important that we didn't mention this during our presentation, but everything that is pretty much on the internet or you can find right now with AI and SEL, like it's basically using generative AI to create situations to develop SEL skills, meaning that, for example, like if you want your students to practice, I don't know, like relationship skills or responsible decision making, you can have the generative AI like developing like a situation or a context where students need to solve a problem or they need to answer a question. But that's not really connecting AI and SEL, right? That's using AI to help you to create that context, to create that situation where students can solve a problem or can have a conversation with some pretend conversation, but it's not really connecting AI with SEL. So what we think that people should do, like our last advice would be that don't try to connect them directly, but try to develop all the SEL skills that we mentioned before. That part will help your students to interact with AI in a better way.
Also, I think it would be very cool and interesting if their students have the proper age, if they are old enough. We could have even these debates in the class, like they could be discussing and having debates about how we use artificial intelligence and what is the ethics behind it. I think that would be also very cool if the teacher have that opportunity to teach them, but also give the students that time and freedom to talk and express their opinions about artificial intelligence, because I'm pretty sure that students are probably using artificial intelligence before a lot of teachers.
Yes, that's very important. And we go back to the AI literacy part that we mentioned, which is the way we train students, or the way we show students what's behind that chatbot they are interacting with. And that's very important when we talk about AI. It's not just the use of AI by the students. It's also about the use of AI, by teachers, the use of AI by students, but not just them directly interacting with the chatbot or ChatGPT or whatever. It's also them understanding what's behind, the ethics behind, and all the data, the bias, all those things that they need to learn before they use this artificial intelligence. And that's all part of SEL, social and emotional learning. All that, like understanding what's behind and how this can affect our daily life and how this can affect the world. I think that's very, very important. That social awareness part that we mentioned.
Okay, so Alberto and Mario, what about teachers who are not very familiar with artificial intelligence yet? Maybe they want to already start using it, but they are a little bit afraid and also a little bit overwhelmed, because right now artificial intelligence is like trending topic. Everybody's talking about it in education, in economics, in every aspect of the life. But if they want to start using it, but they don't know how, or they are afraid, what do you recommend them? What would be the first step?
Training.
I would say that productivity, which means that we see AI in schools in 3 pillars, right? Like 3 areas. The first one is the use of AI by teachers to be more productive. Like, for example, like if I create a rubric, it takes, I don't know, like 40 minutes by myself. But if I use AI, it takes 5 minutes. All right, this is one part, like how as a teacher we can use AI to be more productive. The second part is the use of AI by students, is what Alberto mentioned before. It's not just having students to use ChatGPT or DALL-E, to create images or pictures or whatever. It's like teaching them how to use it, right? Like that AI literacy. And the number 3 is the use of AI by admins, who are the ones who need to create the guidelines. They need to create the do's and don'ts. So just like, I just wanted to paint like, like a bigger picture. But now out of those 3, our recommendation is to start with the productivity part, meaning that you need to start just using AI and getting more familiar with AI while you are planning, or while you are creating a rubric or creating a lesson.
We're talking about generative AI here.
Yeah, generative AI, or creating a lesson, something that you're going to create from zero, from scratch. Instead of doing that, just go to ChatGPT or to other chatbot and start creating from scratch, but on that app or on that platform. because that's going to help you out. And it's not as risky as using it with the students for the first time. You need to get used to it before you use it with your students.
Yeah, and if you don't know where to start, other than productivity, I think that training is the first step. Like teachers need to get training. We always say that we couldn't drive a car if we don't have our driving license, right? It is the same with technology. It is the same with AI. We need to have our license. We need to know how to drive that car, which is the AI. We need to know how to do it. Where's the best way? What's the like first things I need to do? What's the first thing I don't need to do? And all those things that sometimes we don't know. So I think that first step would be training. Get people that is expert in the matter to train you, to train your faculty, to train your school, train your institutions, and for you to have a full understanding of the tool or of the way that the tool works before going and do it yourself.
I totally agree with you guys. Alberto, what you said is like, first, we have to be able to understand what artificial intelligence is and how it works. And then if you are planning on using tools first as a teacher, so start playing with it, start understanding how it works. And then when you feel confident enough, start implementing it in your classes and have the student use it. But as we said before, we have to train our student and be ethical about it. This is going to be my last question, and then we will be checking on the chat to see if you guys have any question for Mario and Alberto. My last question is going to be, I think during the last year and also this year, there has been a big debate on the internet where a lot of teachers were afraid also that their students were using artificial intelligence to do the homework and assignments. And this is also like a big worriness, right? And in my opinion, it's like maybe we need to change the type of homework and assignments that we send to our students. And I don't think we should ban artificial intelligence. We were mentioning before, we need to learn how to use it and also be ethical about it. And be honest also with the use, like as a teacher, we need to say, okay, you can use artificial intelligence, or you can use this chatbot or this tool for this specifically task. But however, you need to reflect your own on this particular task. What are you guys thought about this? What would you say to those teachers who are worried about a student cheating using their artificial intelligence?
Oof, I have many thoughts about this. Number one, I'm happy that AI came, because it is the first time, I would say, ever that actually a new technology is challenging the way that we evaluate students. Because before, like, okay, new technology, great, but this is the first time that we actually need to change our evaluation because of a new technology. That's my first thought. My second one is that there's no way to fight that. I mean, we are going to lose. You know, like, there are many products, there are many platforms that tells you, okay, we can identify if a student is using AI, or like that's not 100% accurate. You know, like, it doesn't exist a platform that tells you 100% if a student has used AI. So that means that we need to fight against this in a different way. What is that way? In our opinion, that way is changing the way that we evaluate, right? Like, if we change the way we evaluate, it doesn't matter if they use AI or not, because we are not evaluating like a specific fact or like a specific information. We are evaluating other things, right? Like problem solving, like different things that they need to do. So I would say that we need to change the way we evaluate, because there's no way we win this fight as teachers. You know, like, they're going to go home and they're going to use AI, and we have no way to know if they are using it or not. So the only way to fight against this is to change our activities and the way that we evaluate. And I'm happy for this, you know.
I think
thank you, Mario.
that
I totally
just
agree.
to add to that, I think AI is going to be around the rest of our lives. It's going nowhere. And this is the worst version of this technology that we are going to see. So from now on, the technology is going to get better every day, every single day. So what we need to do is not fight directly to this technology, is adapt the way we teach, adapt the way we behave to include this new technology to our lives and teach students how to use it. In the future, for sure, students are going to use AI in their work, in their personal life, in the way they socialize, everywhere. So we really need to go ahead and introduce this and use it as it is. Like this technology is going to be here forever. So we need to change the way we evaluate, include AI, and teach our students a good way, a responsible way to use it and include AI in their lives.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I love what you said. We need to change the evaluation, and we cannot just evaluate their knowledge about something, but we also need to evaluate like very important skills like creativity, like problem solving skills that is not going to be affected by artificial intelligence. However, I think it's the opposite. You also need to maybe like a skills that is going to be needed in the future is like how creatively you use artificial intelligence in your job. So I don't know, that may be something that will be required in future jobs. Okay, so guys, we have like 5 more minutes. So now is the moment where you have some question for Alberto and Mario. Just type it on the chat and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Let's have a look at them. Yeah, this is a good point. Also, I said like spelling and grammar, like maybe the students are not as proficient as before, but because they are gonna be using like computer programs or artificial intelligence that is gonna be corrected. What can we say about that?
As I said before, Neil Postman says that there's always a trade-off in every technology revolution or technology change. And, you know, like we gain a lot of different things, but we're going to lose other things. Like could be that spelling, that grammar, that other stuff that they type more than they write on paper. So there's always going to be a trade-off. We are always going to lose, you know, like different abilities or different competencies.
At the same time, I think you can use it also to improve that grammar if you wish, or that spelling. But yeah, it's true that right now most of us have like some kind of corrector that tells you when you make a mistake, especially as they said, writing in your second language, like English is our second language. But if I see a mistake and then it's telling me that I need to correct that, that's also a way to learn, you know? Okay, I said I'm making the same mistake with the same word and I've seen it like 3 or 4 times a week, I'm not gonna forget anymore. So at the same time, it could be also like an advantage, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just like it's complicated because we want to just keep improving, right, and keep like using new technology. But at the same time, we are, as I said before, we are always going to lose something.
But I think that happened with every, as Neil Postman said, in every major change in our world. Like before, we didn't have internet and we had other abilities, we have other ways to do things. Now we have internet, and with the internet came all of these like ways to socialize, Netflix, HBO. Before we went to a Blockbuster, now we have a different way to shop online. We can use Amazon, other kind of like portals, you know, like everything changed with the inclusion of a new technology. In this case, it's going to happen the same with AI. And we lost some kind of things, abilities, way to do things, and we won other kind of things. So it's just a way to be smart and adapt to the change. And I think that's very important and something that we need to also tell our students, because they're going to go through so many changes in their lives, even more changes that we went through, because the technology is advancing so fast right now that the changes that are going to happen in the next 10, 20 years are even crazier than the changes we're facing right now with internet and AI. So it's going to be important also that we teach students how to adapt to changes. We go back to social and emotional learning, how to adapt to changes, how to be resilient on all that.
I have one more question, Mario and Alberto. This may be a little bit tricky. Let's see if you guys have an answer for this. When we ask like students to do like some projects or even teachers, and they are using artificial intelligence, I think that is something like it's not very clear yet. Like if you are using like a chatbot or another tool, how would you quote that? Like the same way that when we make a project before artificial intelligence, we had to specifically said, okay, we are using this website because of copyright. I want to make sure that I mention it, right? I quote it. How can we quote when we use content created by artificial intelligence? Because I think it's not very clear yet.
That's a great question. We do a lot of training on artificial intelligence, and this is a question that we get a lot. What we always say is like, after every interaction we have with the chatbot, ask the chatbot where did he get the information from. Okay, this is the information I got. Can you quote me the pages or where you got the information? Normally it gives you 2 or 3 sources. Also we can use APA rules, APA rules for that. But after that you get that information, those quotes, and the places that this artificial intelligence got information from. And after that, you always need to say reference in every document, email, whatever you do. This email was created with artificial intelligence. This text was created by or with artificial intelligence. This text was created by or with artificial intelligence. So it's very, very important to say or quote that you got the information from artificial intelligence and the original sources are, and then you just share the original sources for that.
And I would say that like most of the, Alberto mentioned the APA rules, APA rules, that they already have like a way of like citate AI. And also as well, Alberto said, we use Copilot a lot. And when Copilot gives you an answer, when it responds to you, at the bottom of the respond, there's always the website that got information from. So like you can know what that source is.
Yeah, no, I was reading also the comments on the chat, and they are really, really interesting. And that you are totally right on that. Sometimes we don't notice because it may be a little bit small, but on most of the chatbots, when they give you like a description or some information, they normally tell you where they are getting the information from. So we need to take that into account because we were talking about ethics. So I think it would be ethical if we are using that information, we have to quote those websites or those places where we are getting the information from.
Yeah, and it's great. I see a lot of comments on the chat about the good use of AI. Of course, we use it every day, like every day, every hour. I use AI in some kind of tasks that I do every hour. So I'm all about artificial intelligence, but also the way using a good way. Okay, that's very important, because I think that has been a problem that we faced around the world, the way that we introduce technology in the classrooms, because in many countries, in many places around the world, the way that we have introduced technology to the classrooms haven't been the best, you know, and that has taken us through a path that was not very beneficial for students. I think that we need to just stop and be more like mindful about how we introduce technology. And this is what we need to do with AI, because before we have introduced devices, internet, and other many other technology, and it was not beneficial for students just by the way we did it. But if we introduce AI technology to teachers, to students in a nice way, in a way that is beneficial for them, I think I'm all about AI and technology, but in a mindful way.
I feel like every technology is going to have like the good side and the bad side, and we need to look for ways to take advantage of it. Like you guys were saying before, first, teachers can save a lot of time if we use artificial intelligence wisely. And then also taking advantage of artificial intelligence for our students to use it, because it also can be very productive for them, and we can take advantage in many different ways. Okay, so guys, we are almost at the end of this webinar. We are so sorry, but we're not going to have time to answer all of those questions. Thank you so much for the nice debate and feedback that we're getting on the chat, for all of those comments. Someone was asking if we are gonna talk about prompting. We mentioned it briefly at the beginning, but I think we could even have a whole webinar on how to do prompting in the right way.
Yeah, 100%. We do a lot of training on prompting, and we really think is that it's so needed. Like it's just the step number one when we use generative AI to talk about prompting.
Sorry, guys, before we finish, something very important, I need to share with you some resources because you have attended and we really appreciate it. So the first of all, really important, is gonna have the certificates, okay, of completion. So I'm pasting the links on the chat at this moment. Another cool things that the twins, Alberto and Mario, have shared is they have shared all their socials and the presentation that they used today. So let me just copy and paste this link. It's a digital swag. This is gonna be sent on the post-event email, but you can have it from today. Mario, Alberto, what are the social media that you are more active on? Which are the ways that teachers can reach out to you?
I would say right now it's Instagram, I would say, and LinkedIn as well. Like if you search for us on, I mean, we are on Twitter as well. We are not as active as we used to be, but you can find us in pretty much any social media.
Yeah, it's edtwins or edtwins or by our first and last name. If you search for those, you're gonna find us on any social media.
Yes, on the link that I've just shared, you guys are gonna find all the social medias for the twins, also their website, the presentation, as I said, and also some resources from Edpuzzle. And I would like to share one more thing before we finish. That is gonna be the upcoming Edpuzzle bootcamps and events. So in case you guys are interested in getting the Edpuzzle certification, on the link that I've just shared on the chat, you're gonna see all the upcoming events, and you'll also be aware that some of them are in English and some of them are in Spanish, and we are even have one in Arabic. I know that someone on the chat was asking me if this presentation or this webinar was gonna be available in different languages. I'm sorry, but I don't think this one is gonna be available on different languages, but it's a good feedback I can take into account for the future. Alberto and Mario, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us all your knowledge and experience and expertise. Is there something else you want to say just to round this up?
No, we just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I think Alberto was going to say the same. Thank you for inviting us. We are always super happy to collaborate with you, Jesús, and Edpuzzle in general. So just thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, same. Thank you for inviting us. I think this is a pretty great topic, very sensitive at this point. So I think it was a very needed webinar and topic to talk about. And we love use AI and ethics and social emotional learning. So we enjoy a lot this time. Thank you everyone for joining us. And thank you, Jesús, for the invitation, of course.
It's our pleasure. And one more time, thank you so much. And see you everybody on social media. As you guys said, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, we are everywhere. That's it for today. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.